welcome to the Center for Education, Innovation, Leadership, and Community Service. I am Sellaya Gnanasegaran from the state of New Jersey on behalf of the Center for Education, Innovation, Leadership, and Community Service. I am so glad and excited to join this great panel speakers here, and young and bold and beautiful panel speakers have joined me here. And today we are celebrating the enormous work that is put forward by one and only Mr. Roy Ratnavel, who is with us today here. And he has done an enormous amount of work in the community, and his personal accomplishment and achievements are so amazing that each and every one of the members of the diaspora, as well as our brothers and sisters in the homeland, Tamil homelands, are extremely proud.
In life, we never know if you're at the peak or the trough. The only solution to stay humble and hungry, always outwork everyone and everything, and learn, grow, and evolve every day. Though the past events are unchangeable, they can serve as an important lesson in overcoming the struggles of life to strive for a better future. We are all worthy of a life we desire, but it can only happen if we exhibit the right behavior and mindset. Be like that bird. Have no self-pity. Stand up proudly with a stiffer spine as you're about to draw a bow. Don't go home defeated while pitying yourself, because opportunities are never lost, but someone will take the ones you miss. When you get out there in the world, sometimes you have to deal with mean, difficult, and unreasonable people. But it doesn't fundamentally make a huge impact on your ability to make a difference and make a positive impact in this world. Humanity has no better path forward than to accept this fact with humility. If life handed you bad cards, shuffle the pack and pick another set of cards. Strive to be the best, but keep an open mind, and always, always take the high road. You will never regret it.
Other than money and fame, what are some positive character traits that help shape one's life
It's a long
for
way
the
to
better?
go. So let's tackle that. What is success? Well, that's a big question. So I'm going to answer it from my perspective. When I was a very young man, success meant how big my bank account was, or my title, or sort of the house I lived in, or the kind of fancy car I drove. But now that I am a little older, in my middle age, to me, success means, is the world maybe better because I made a small positive impact on someone's life or the society at large? You know, we all will be remembered for our kindness than any level of success we could possibly attain. I believe the character trait is called empathy for others. That is important. But when you're young, like this panel, you're going to find that time and money are in short supply because you're building your life, and you're going to, potentially, build a life, buy a house, have kids. And so you're going to find when you're in your mid-career or early career, the money and time is going to be short supply. So you can't give what you don't have. So my advice is first make sure you have ample supply of those two commodities. You can only acquire that through your professional success. Then you can give back. I did the same when I was young. I didn't really have anything, so I couldn't give back anything. You know what they say in Tamil, so just build your career. In the end, success in life isn't just about money or the material things. It's about conquering yourself and doing your best to leave this world better than you had found it. And I think we all should strive to do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Rukshayini Bhaskaran from Newark, New Jersey.
So my questions are, I have two questions. One, what motivated you to keep going and have a positive attitude about life, even when you face challenges and a lot of trauma, especially at a young age, at 17 years old? And two, I'm a person that gets really anxious when it comes to public speaking, especially in front of like a large group of people. So how were you able to sound so confident in your public speaking, and what steps did you take in order to do so?
Okay, thanks for the question. Look, when you read the book, you'll see that the journey from a prisoner to a financial professional here in Canada, it took about 30 plus years to get here. And nowhere in the book you'll see I was anything perfect. I'm still not. You know, we all have flaws. But it's really, life is, as Buddha says, life is suffering, right? And you know, my childhood was marred by unimaginable savagery that nearly ended my life twice, actually. It's actually a miracle that I am today here speaking with all of you, being in front of you right now. So sensing there was no future for me in Sri Lanka, my father decided to send me out of the country for a better and safe life, and thought Canada might be that land of opportunity. So 3 days after I landed in Toronto 34 years ago, on April 21st, 1988, just 3 days after I landed, my father was shot and killed. It devastated me. You know, I was 18 years old. He was my mentor, someone I looked up to. When you read the book, you'll see how much I spent around him and learned from him the language of English, Tamil, and how to present and how to communicate. And so my father's untimely death left me with the feeling that I had to live for two people. I thought if I did well enough in life, somehow I could make up for the life he should have had. That became my single goal in life. My father's death made me grow up faster and became a fighter. I used that pain of his loss as coal for my furnace of ambition. And in that, in a way, was unhealthy. And you'll see it in the book, how much that actually affected people around me, how I became single focused and didn't care about anything else around me. So I reflect on all that too. And so it's good to have ambition. Sometimes it also comes at a price, and we can delve into that later in this conversation. So what, if I have learned anything, my time on this planet, it is in the power of hope. So I say to every one of you who's on the panel or who's listening, who are struggling, to have hope, first thing. But at the same time, be very pragmatic, because having hope alone isn't a good strategy. You should also need to have a realistic plan, your goal and how the steps to get there. And keep in mind, patience is important here, because things don't happen overnight. You know, you're seeing me today at a position, but it took me 3 decades to get here, making many mistakes and making a fool of myself, and understanding how life works, business works. It's a long journey. In that journey, I also learned how to public speaking. I was just like you. I was afraid to be on stage, no confidence. But the one thing I did is I kept putting myself in that position of discomfort so that I could get better at public speaking. And it is important to have communication skills because that's how you lead people. If you can't communicate an idea as a leader, it's very difficult to be successful in that role. So my advice to you is keep, putting yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable, but over time you'll see you'll get better and build confidence. And I'm still, I have a public speaking coach even now after all these years, and to just really fine tune how I hold myself in front of an audience. So good luck with that.
Thank you so much.
Prita Yaraja.
இப்ப என்ற கேள்வி, நீங்க கனடாக்கு வந்த ஒரு பொறுமை, நிதானம், அது எப்படி உங்களை மோட்டிவேட் பண்ணி புது நாட்டுக்கு வந்து இதான் உங்களோட வாழ்க்கை என்று எது உங்களை மோட்டிவேட் பண்ணினது இந்த வழி எடுத்துக்கொண்டு?
Okay. Look, அகதிகளாக அல்லது இமிகிரண்ட்ஸாக வந்த எல்லா தமிழர்களும் initially கஷ்டப்பட்ட நாங்கள் தான். But I would say Western countries எங்களை ஓப்பனாக வரவழைத்து எங்களுக்கு தந்த opportunity, we should always be thankful to them. Because had I lived in Sri Lanka, or had your parents lived in Sri Lanka, I don't think we will have the life we have today. Even though, Western countries aren't perfect, but they are better than what we left behind. So I think one of the things I'll say to every youngster on this panel and to anyone who's listening is that always show gratitude. Yeah, these countries aren't perfect, but it's far better than what we left behind. And our job, as your job as young people coming up on the ranks, to leave those countries that you're in, whether Germany, Canada, US, or UK, better than you had found it. That should be your goal. I am doing my best to leave Canada better than how I found her. And but to answer your question even more deeper, so I started on Bay Street. So to give anyone context to what Bay Street is, it's like Wall Street of Canada. I started on Bay Street on an investment firm as a mailroom clerk. I was the lowest man in the hierarchy, and I was employee number 25. And but I was always hungrily operating on the margins of potentially greater harvest of future knowledge and wisdom. And that's the one thing everybody should do. Be curious about everything. Don't just stick to your specialty. Always look around the world and look at things and be curious and learn new knowledge. So I was always willing to evolve and change. There's another thing. A lot of people are very stubborn. They come to this Western world and they want to live the way they lived wherever they came from. That's okay to celebrate your culture, like you're doing Bharatanatyam, which I'm fond of, and thank you for helping to grow our ancient civilization and culture through that dance form. But we should also continue to adapt to new environment. And if you can't adopt to new environment, you perish because, as that animals, species don't evolve, they die, and humans are the same. So we need to always be having that in mind and always be willing to put yourself in discomfort, because when you become uncomfortable, even like the way I was talking to the previous question, public speaking, it's very uncomfortable for everybody pretty much. But more you put yourself in discomfort, you'll grow as a human being, because I knew that I needed to do that. And it's called muscle atrophy. And to explain what that is, muscle atrophy happens to astronauts. When astronauts go into space, there's no gravity. So when there's no gravity, there's no resistance. So your muscles die off. So when they're there for 6 months, when they come back, they really have no muscle mass. And that's why you see them when they land, they get carried out like old person. Because resistance makes muscles grow. And also, it is true that resistance makes people grow. And for me, the resistance was coming here to a new country, not knowing the language, not knowing the culture, losing my father, being in prison, all that things were resistance. And it made me grow. It makes everybody grow. So always make sure that there's always some kind of resistance in your life. Just like muscles, we give resistance, it grows. Humans do better in adversity than in luxury. Adversity is an opportunity to determine the best possible course of action. You know, the calm oceans never created a skilled sailor. Only rough oceans makes the sailor become very good at sailing. So just remember that life is never calm. It's like the ocean. It has ups and downs. It's like basketball. You know, basketball only bounces because of the pressure. And I think human beings can bounce out of problem because of that pressure. And so don't ever see difficulty in life as and get defeated. You know, just take it head on. And there's always a way around it to grow and evolve. So in the new country, I put myself through resistance to learn and change and evolve. And I fought for every opportunity. As I said on one of my talks, opportunities are never lost. Someone will take the ones you miss. So in life, it is my view that you don't get what you deserve. You deserve what you fight for. So you have to fight for every one of these opportunities. If you don't, somebody will take it. So that would be my closing remark for that question, to always seek discomfort, always resist, seek resistance, grow, evolve, and fight for those opportunities.
Wow. Wow, that is a powerful word, Mr. Ratnavel. I want to call Shashmita.
Like I mentioned earlier, I was born and raised in Canada, but many of us youngsters and youths like me face discrimination and bias in one way or another. You, as a young immigrant arriving into Canada a long time ago, how were you able to overcome this negativity and bias? And how might have you have you faced it in your personal life?
Okay, thanks for the question, and I would wish you all the best with your leadership. And I think it's very important to learn that at a very young age, like yourselves, so that you can go out and become and make a mark on the society in a positive way. So in regards to your question, in fact, I tackled this at the latter part of the book. And the book isn't just about me being in prison and then coming to Canada and making a decent living for myself, but it's also about lessons learned and applying that in society and really looking at things from a different set of eyes. And I think the trouble that I see today in whether it's mainstream media or in classrooms like yourselves, especially in universities, the indoctrination of young minds to say that there is all these awful people in Canada that keeping people of color down. And I really resent that sort of view. I'm not suggesting there aren't discrimination. I'm not suggesting there aren't racist people. I'm suggesting that they will always be there. Is Canada today better than 100 years ago? Absolutely. Can it be better than today, 100 years from now? Absolutely. Because I'm really not sure what kind of discrimination people are facing in Canada. But because I came from where I came from, I have a different context to what real oppression is. which I have experienced real bigotry, racism, and oppression in Sri Lanka. While there's still much work to be done to end inequality, I should say, in Canada and the world, we should celebrate this country and Western societies for building a system of laws that can defend and advocate for equal treatment of minorities. Look, I know Canada has colonial history, and the human history is a horrible story. We as humans are tribalistic. And, you know, if you look at throughout the history, it's part of our anthropology to conquer weaker societies. And that's true everywhere. Tamils did that in the ancient times with Raja Cholan, went eastward and conquered countries. And so it is part of who we are. And you can legislate morality. But what you can do is that whenever you see discrimination, speak up against it. That's the right moral thing to do. And it is consistent with our democratic ideals. But the discrimination claim in Canada is, to me, I find, I'm not saying you, but generally, is a crutch and excuse for individuals' inability. And then politicians and media establishments feed that I am the victim narrative, which I find it appalling and unconscionable. Here I am, a Tamil who didn't know how to speak Tamil English, who didn't understand how the system operated. Yeah, I experienced people saying dumb things to me, maybe racist things to me, which I am actually highlighting in the book, the situations I put into. But I traveled across Canada. I know every single town in Western Canada. Western Canada considered to be, you know, racist, but I have some great friends, great clients. Like I said, Canada isn't perfect, nor is terrible. So when you get out there in the real world, sometimes you will have to deal with mean, difficult, unreasonable people, and some may be racist too. But it doesn't fundamentally make a huge impact on the ability to make a difference and make a positive impact in this world. So the way I overcome these kind of stuff is that I don't really care about these comments because comments, yeah, you hurt your feeling a little bit. So I would say grow a thick skin and laugh it off. And because there's no law that currently exists in the Canadian law books that is discriminatory in nature, right? All those things are gone. Like you and I are not asked to sit on the back of the bus. We are not asked to drink from a different fountain. So humanity has no better path forward to accept this with humility that some humans are horrible people, and no matter what kind of law you have, they're going to say dumb things. So, but if you said you're a victim, then you will get sympathy from other people, and that much is for certain. But sympathy never solved an issue. If my habit was about me being a victim, then I will remain as one. And I could tell you that 100% it is true. I learned early on that solving my problems was my responsibility. It's not government's, it's not somebody else's. They can only create an environment where we can all have a level playing field, and we should strive for that. And I've said this before, which gets me in trouble sometimes. I have said this in the book as well. Always lower the barrier, not the bar, because meritocracy still matters. But at the same time, you can't transfer your trauma to others. You know, I cannot go out and take it out on people because I was in prison. That is none of their business. It's mine to figure out how to solve my own issues. Because the world owed me nothing except freedom and choice. That's the only thing everybody deserved to get. To be a free human, to have choice. When you have freedom, the outcome will necessarily be different. So I will be rewarded for the good choices I make, and I'll be penalized for the bad ones. That's the price of freedom. And I learned that very quickly when I had freedom, when I landed here on April 18th, 1988. See, I can't control the outcome, but I'm 100% in control of the effort. So I have this habit, before I blame other people, I go to in front of the nearest mirror and ask myself, what could I have done to change the outcome? I can tell you that there's no shadowy, faceless white man is trying to keep us down in life. Don't fall for that narrative. And I'm begging you, because that will get you into the victim mentality, which will eventually lead to not much success in life. In the end, it is you that is responsible for your own life. As I said, there are people out there, mean, difficult people you'll have to deal with, but it doesn't fundamentally change what you as an individual can do, achieve, and contribute before you check out from this planet.
All right, thank you. Sandra Kumar from the Bajikala, Eastern University.
பல்கலைக்கழக மாணவர்களுக்கு தலைமைத்துவம், சுயமாக சிந்தித்தல், தேடல் முதலானவற்றின் வெளிப்பாடு அவர்களது வாழ்வியலில் மாற்றங்களையும் மேம்பாட்டையும் தரும். அந்த வகையில் தலைமைத்துவ வாழ்வியல் நிலையை கொண்டு வருவதற்கு தங்களது அறிவுரையை கூற முடியுமா?
நன்றி தம்பி கொஸ்டினுக்கு. I'm going to answer this. How? Well, சுய சிந்தனை அது வந்து உண்மையான இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் பாயிண்ட். நாங்கள் வந்து இருக்கிற வேர்ல்டு இப்பொழுது வந்து இட்ஸ் வெரி டிவைடட், ஃபேக்ஷன்ஸ், மீடியா, இன்டர்நெட், இணையதளங்கள் வந்து ட்விட்டர் எல்லாம் வந்து குரூப் thinking. And I've said this before, animals blend in with the environment to survive. Humans need to stand out away from the crowd to be successful. So in their advice to the younger people, even older people too, is always to think for yourself. Don't listen to what the இணையதளம் சொல்றதோ அல்லது Twitter or media or politicians. They have an agenda. I think successful people always think differently. They look at things from a different perspective. And I shared the story before. Bata Shoes company in the story. I shared this with my team. Thomas Bata was the owner of Bata Shoes. When the Europe market opportunities crunch on, he sent 2 of his salesmen to Africa to see how to grow their market share there or see any opportunities. முதலாவது salesman telegram பண்ணி சொன்னார், no one wears shoes in Africa. I see no opportunity. ரெண்டாவது salesman telegram பண்ணார், everybody is barefoot. I see infinite opportunity. really சொன்னேனல்ல, opportunities are never lost. Someone will take the ones you miss. So here were 2 people in the same place. They looked at things differently. So it's about perspective. So having that perspective is important. Degrees is important, but having your own mind, your own thinking is what makes leaders to lead groups. And I'm very adamant about that. I always tell my son the same thing. He comes to me with, here's what I heard. Well, okay, but what do you think? And go do some research. The other thing is that we should always listen to people who we do not agree with. நாங்கள் agree பண்றாங்களோடே தெரிஞ்சால் we all have the same view. So in that same chamber. So always try to find people who have a different point of view than you have. That's how you challenge yourself to think differently. And so another advice, always be an individual. Don't think like a group. Always find people who think different than you do, even if you don't agree with them. That is the key to success. So my team, I have people who have different view than I have. And that's what makes a society stronger, to be able to have the debate and to have the thick skin and be able to listen to other people's criticism and view. And that's what makes leaders, and that's what makes people better and become better to be successful.
Mahishan.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, Mr. Ratnavel, again for sharing your thoughts and wisdom with all of us. And my question for you, Mr. Ratnavel, is what is the most important global political issue facing our humanity today? And how can we as a global Tamil community help address that issue?
Thanks for the question. And first of all, I've heard, the things that you've been doing. So congratulations. Your dad gave me an update on that, and we are proud of you, and hope you'll take the baton and pass it on to the next generation by inspiring them. To answer your question, it's a very broad question. Obviously, there are a lot of global political issues, one being energy, and how do we get energy to run economies and the world, because the world still needs energy. And because of that, there will be wars. The Russia-Ukraine war really has underpinnings around the energy issue in Western Europe. And one of the reasons Putin has this strong hold and making $1 billion US a day to fund the war is through energy. But my answer to your question is something that people don't really think a lot about. And so I'm not even sure what I think is the risk that smarter people than me think of. But in my small, narrow view of what has been happening since the pandemic, and what I think is the biggest risk to national security and also politically is really the out of control government spending around the globe, which I believe hurts us all. It leads to runaway inflation, and you're seeing that now. I mean, Canada posted 8.1% inflation in June, which the biggest we've seen since 1998. The only group that doesn't believe this is a problem is really the politicians. They don't understand the fundamental law of economics and what runaway inflation does to a country. They are pumping out billions of borrowed dollars to prop up this pandemic ravaged economy. Unless we severely curtail the debt fuel spending of the past years, and unless we start paying it down, we will be heading for a big trouble around the globe. We are well on our way, and it scares me. And this is how war starts, and economies fall, and social unrest begins. And so just paying the interest on the current sky high debt, and in a raising interest rate environment, you can see the feds in the US jacking up rates. Canadian Central Bank, increased the rates only by 1% 2 weeks ago, which hasn't happened in a long time. So just paying the interest alone is almost as swimming with big cement block tight around your ankles. The higher our interest payments get, the less money there is in the federal budget for important social programs like healthcare and welfare. That creates unrest. Because countries are able to print money, they can postpone the process of going broke for a long time. And that's what Western world is doing, carrying massive debts and printing money and causing inflation. But eventually, even countries go bankrupt and You don't have to look far than to look at Sri Lanka. It just happened. Finally, Sri Lanka has fell. It's a prominent example in recent history. That country's bankruptcy decimated the wealth and savings of millions of citizens, which caused unrest. Or consider Greece a few years ago, following the economic meltdown in 2010. Greece was rescued with one of the biggest financial bailouts in history. But in turn, the country was forced to adapt a number of austerity measures that included higher taxes and reduced pensions for seniors. But the one who will hurt most are our children and our grandchildren, the people who will be shackled with the obligation to pay back the money that we borrowed. So to answer your question, I see that as the biggest risk, and no one is talking about it. But what can Tamils do? First, educate ourselves about what this means to us now and to our generations to come. And then, because somebody will have to pay the bill. Eventually, it hurts us all. So the best way to do that is to don't elect politicians do not understand the simple fact that when you borrow money, you got to pay back, and somebody will have to pay back either today or down in the history. So that is what I see as one of the biggest risks politically.
Thank you so much. I want to call Dishantini.
இளம் மாணவ சமுதாயத்திற்கு சமூக சேவைன்ற இந்த முக்கியத்துவத்தை அல்லது அந்த அவசியத்தை உணர வைப்பது எப்படி என்று எங்களுக்கு கொஞ்சம் நீங்க கூறுவீங்க?
Okay, நன்றி ரங்கஜி கேள்விக்கு. இது வந்து very difficult-ஆன ஒரு கேள்வி. ஏனென்றால் இளம் சமுதாயம் எப்பொழுதும் only few people like you would be socially conscious, right? உண்மையாக சொன்னால் நான் இளம் வயதில் இருக்கும்போது சோஷியல் சர்வீஸ்ன்றதே நான் அதை நினைக்கவே இல்லை. எந்த வியூ என்னன்னு சொன்னால், நான் வந்து முதல் என்ன பில் பண்ணாதான் சொசைட்டி நான் பில் பண்ணேன். ஸோ while it's important and I congratulate பாராட்டுக்கள், நீங்கள் சமூக சேவை செய்வது வந்து விவேகானந்தர் சொன்னது ஒரு மக்கள் சேவை, மகேசன் சேவை என்று even Mr. Gnanasegaran has mentioned that. So yeah, like service to society is like service to God. But you know, நான் முதல் சொன்னேன்ல, இளம் வயதில் இருக்கும்போது காசும் நேரமும் இருக்காது. The only two things you can give to society, time and money. And when I was very young, I didn't have time, I didn't have money. நான் 3 வேலை செய்த நான் ஒரு நாள்ல. அப்போ எனக்கு ஒரு டைமே இல்லை, அதுக்கு விட யூனிவர்சிட்டிக்கும் போகணும். ஸோ அந்த டைமில் நாங்கள் வந்து சமூக சேவை நான் செய்தேன்னு சொன்னால் அது போய். ஆனால் நீங்கள் இப்படி செய்கிறது வந்து எனக்குமே அதிசயமா இருக்குது. How you can actually do this, and so I admire that. So you inspire me now. So the advice to young people is, I don't even know what the advice is, to be honest. Not every questions I can answer. But I would say maybe because I never thought about social service, நான் இளமையா இருக்கும்போது சோஷியல் நான் நிற்கவே இல்லை. செல்ஃபிஷாக எப்படி நான் முன்னுக்கு வரலாம்னு இருந்தால் பார்த்தது இல்லையே, நான் சொசைட்டியை முன்னுக்கு வந்தா நான் நிற்கவே இல்லை. ஸோ I would say maybe நீங்கள் வந்து லைக் மைண்டட் பீப்புள், உங்களை மாதிரி ஆக்களை பிடிச்சு as a group show what you're doing. That may inspire better young people to join you and lend a hand. And the ones you're going to find that will initially join you, probably they honestly feel like you do and want to give to society somewhat to help on one. You know, because now I am, you know, in my middle age, I do find like I have some money to give and also have some time. Like today, there's no way இன்னைக்கு நான் உங்களோட கிட்டத்தட்ட 2 hours கதைக்கிறோம். இது நான் வந்து Mr. Gnanasegaran 20 years and first of all, I couldn't give you any wisdom. Not that I gave you any today, but I think I gave some. I didn't have the knowledge to give. I didn't have the time to sit here because I had other priorities. So, நீங்கள் செய்யறது பாராட்டி சொல்ற ஒரு சின்ன advice ஆரன்னு சொன்னா, always focus on yourself first. That's not being தன்னலம் இல்ல, because when you better yourself, you can better the society. Continue to do that, but also give yourself time to improve, grow, and become successful. So then you can help a whole bunch of people and inspire them.
But for my question for today, one question I had for you is, I'm sure you can, your journey is so intricate and there's so many factors at play of how you got to the point you are at in your career. But if you had to attribute your success to one factor, what would you have to say that would be?
I would say two factors I'll give you. First of all, before I take your question, I'm a good friend of your father's, and he has updated me on your successes and how proud he is of both of his kids. So I'm also proud hearing your leadership quality and things that you're doing to the community and to yourself and also to next generation. So keep it up. And I wish I had the knowledge and wisdom at your age that you have. So you're on a better trajectory than I was. And in fact, I would say collectively, every single one of you in your own right have inspired me today. Being so young, you're young as 14 years old, going to grade 9, to really partake in this discussion itself tells me the commitment to improvement and the commitment to making the lives of others better. So I really want to acknowledge that. So now to your question, what are the attributes that I had that helped me to get where I am today? I would say two. They kind of go together in some sense. They both start with the same letter, resiliency and risk-taking. They kind of go together. Resilient people are risk takers inherently. And so for me, when somebody tells me, the best way to get me to do anything is to tell me that I won't be able to do it. If someone tells me I can't do this, then that gets me like even more jazzed up and I want to prove them wrong. So, and I shared this in the book, before I came to Canada, my mother was taking me around in the town of Point Pedro, where I grew up, spent most of my teenage years. Even though I was born in Colombo, we moved there because of the riots. Amma was taking me around to tell all her family that I was going to Canada. So one of her uncle, who is not a nice person, said, and I'll say it in English because he said it in Tamil. He said, this guy amounted to nothing here in Sri Lanka. What is he going to do in Canada? And I never forgotten that. And today I am 50 plus years old. I think about it all the time because I actually should be thanking him for saying what he said, that I won't be able to amount to nothing. That was exactly what his words. So that gave me that hunger and the fire to prove him wrong. And the resiliency that I built from that, whether I went through prison, whether I lost a deal in business, whatever, I never backed down. And so never back down. And I always say, when you're on your back foot, don't negotiate, hit first. I'm that guy. When I'm on my back foot, I never negotiate, I hit first. The other is risk-taking. I think you're doing some of that already. When I was only 24 years old-ish, our company went public, CI, with a $25 million offering $11 a share, I borrowed and begged, robbed, whatever, to come up with a pool of money to invest in the company at a very young age. Now the company is 3,000 people. We manage so many dollars. Our company the stock was the best performing financial stock for a while on Toronto Stock Exchange. I never sold a share ever. I bought more. And the reason I did that is, and I would tell this to everyone here, young people, is that working for someone isn't going to empower you. You have to be an owner, not a worker. So always try to own something, have skin in the game. But take the risk and invest in it. Because I jokingly say nobody washes the rental car, right? If you owned your car, you'll clean it, keep it nice and shine it. I don't think anyone rents a car and then takes it for a car wash, do they? No one. So that's it. Resiliency and risk taking. Those are the two things. They're interconnected in some level. So don't ever tell people, don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do anything. You decide for yourself. And I always say, never receive counsel from unproductive people and never discuss your problem with someone incapable of contributing to the solution, because those who never succeeded themselves are always first to tell that you can't do it because they can't do it. So that would be my two things.
I want to say, look around how other people are doing. Please share at least something that you have with others. That's what I always ask people. Right? This is what they say. To those much is given, much is expected. So when we are blessed with knowledge and money and time, it's nothing wrong to share a little bit of it with others who are less fortunate or underprivileged people. That's what I don't force people, but I do that. In today's gathering has brought that everyone to light, and with Roy Ratnavel's powerful rendition, powerful word that has penetrated into my mind, I'm sure it did. And Adre and Krita and Shashmita and Rukshayini and Dishantini and Sundarling and Sandrakumar and Vaishnavi.
Mr. Roy, I express my gratitude towards you for taking the time out of your day to talk to all of us. And I feel like one words of wisdom I could give to everyone is that one of the quotes that I live by is from Martin Luther King Jr. And he said that if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. So I guess the key takeaway of that quote is just keep moving forward no matter what obstacles that you experience, just as how Mr. Roy has experienced obstacles, and also getting out of your comfort zone, because getting out of your comfort zone is how you're going to experience new opportunities and new things in your life, and you could be a better person.
Wow.
Great.
இது லைஃப்ல ஒரு மறக்க முடியாத ஒரு நிகழ்வாகத்தான் இருக்கும் இந்த இணையவழி ஊடாக நம்ம கலந்த இந்த உரையாடல். இது போல இடைக்கிடை இப்படி மோட்டிவேஷன் தரக்கூடிய மாதிரி எங்களுக்கு ஒரு முன்னுதாரணமாக இது போன்ற கருத்து அந்த உரையாடல்கள்ல எங்களோட அமைப்பின் ஊடாக இடைக்கிடையே எங்களுக்கு ஒரு இதாக ஒரு உற்சாகத்தை தரக்கூடிய நிகழ்வாக நிகழ்த்த வேண்டும்.
Once again, I'd like to thank Mr. Ratnavel for all of his advice and everything for today. I'm definitely going to hold that with me moving forward. My one word of wisdom, I guess, is something I try to live by is get comfortable being uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable is when you're growing and changing. So kind of sticking with that theme of taking risks and trying new things, like everyone said, that's when you really do grow as a person. So getting comfortable being uncomfortable will make you grow as a person. But that is my word of wisdom for today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Ratnavel, for taking the time and answering my questions. And your story and what you said today was really inspiring. And I've learned a lot from what you said. I don't really have word of wisdom, I guess, but maybe like words of encouragement would be like, never give up, don't stop believing, because what you've went through is inspiring. Like even there's ups and downs, you can still achieve your dreams and goals. So that's something that I would say.
Thank you very much. இன்னைக்கு முழு நாள் உங்களோட நின்று காய்ச்சி மோட்டிவேஷன் கொடுத்ததுக்கு ஜெர்மன் ஒரு ஜெர்மன் ரைட்டர் ஒரு சொல்லுவார், paths are made by walking them. ஸோ நீங்களும் உங்களோட பாத் எடுத்து நீங்க ஒரு வழி எடுத்து போனதால எங்களுக்கும் அந்த வழி நாங்களாவே கண்டுபிடிச்சு நாங்களாவே வரணும்னு மோட்டிவேட் தந்ததுக்கு மிகவும் நன்றி.
இந்த வாய்ப்பினை தந்த கல்வி, புத்தாக்கம், தலைமைத்துவம், சமூக சேவை அமைப்பினுடைய இணைப்பாளர் பேராசிரியர் ஞானம் சார் அவர்களுக்கு மிக்க மகிழ்ச்சியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்ற இலங்கையிலிருந்து. ஏனென்றால் அவர் எல்லா ஆளுமைகளையும் தேடி ஒருங்கிணைத்து அவரும் ஒரு வழிகாட்டியாக இருந்து எங்களை வழிநடத்தி கொண்டிருக்கின்றார். அந்த வகையில் அவருக்கும் நன்றி கூறி, உண்மையிலேயே சிறந்த அனுபவம், மகிழ்ச்சி. நன்றி.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். வணக்கம் ரோய். முதலாவது எனக்கு உங்களை எப்படி உங்களோட அந்த அறிவு பிடிச்சதுன்னு சொன்னா, நீங்க வெரி சிம்பிளா அந்த புலம்பெயர்ந்த வாழ்க்கைய கொண்டு விண்வெளி வாழ்க்கையோட ஒப்பிட்டு சொன்னீங்க. மிகவும் எனக்கு டச் பண்ணிச்சு, ஹார்ட் டச் பண்ணிச்சு. உண்மையில புலம்பெயர்ந்த வாழ்க்கை எங்களோட தாயகத்துல இருந்து வாழ்றதும் புலம்பெயர்ந்த வாழ்க்கையும் சரியான டிஃப்ரெண்ட். அப்ப அதை மிக எளிமையாக புரிகிற மாதிரி விண்வெளி வாழ்க்கையோட ஒப்பிட்டது உண்மையில அது எனக்கு ஒரு சரியான ஒரு சந்தோஷமா இருந்தது. வாழ்த்துக்கள் ரோய்.
So thank you so much for this amazing time. I can't thank you enough that I have been doing so many Zoom events, and this is one of them. One of a kind of Zoom event that I have done it. Mr. Roy, many thanks to you, right? Keep up your great job, and as a Sri Lankan Tamil, and we are proud to hear all your success and yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you for organizing this, and I want to definitely thank every single participant who asked thoughtful questions and sat through 2 hours of me talking. And also I'm humbled and honored that you would consider me to somehow give you some word of wisdom, and hope you got something out of it, even if just one thing that you got out of this, and is a big success. And I've said this over and over, I want to continue to do my best to help society at large, especially our people. I'm so proud of Tamil community, how far we have come in one generation, just one generation, because we are resilient, hardworking people, and I can only see many more great things for our community. If I could do this, coming here with knowing nothing, you are already given a better step ladder to do better than what we did or what we could collectively do. So I'm very, very impressed by the talent out there, here and also out there. But I'll say this in closing before we sign off. Just remember this: regardless of whether it is conscious or unconscious, success or failure is a choice, and you make that choice. The ironic thing about failure is that you will fail at some point in your life, and you will embarrass yourself. There's no doubt about it. I've done it. I have failed spectacularly. I embarrassed myself many times. But stop giving time and energy to negative thoughts. When you quit giving time to that, you will find yourself on the right track, being pragmatic and being practical. So step forward into growth and potential success. Otherwise, you will slip into safety and into definite failure. When I say safety, being comfortable life, just always seek discomfort. That's how you grow. So choose every step toward pursuing your life, your goal. Will bring with fear and unknown. And I've been through it, you'll go through it. But ask yourself this question: is it better to boldly succeed, or is it better to safely fail? because it's sometimes better to take the risk and fail than to never take risk at all and fail for sure. So exhaust your potential. Don't quit until you have nothing left to give. You're given a toolbox and a set of tools. I've said this before, and you're supposed to work those tools as hard as you can for every heartbeat you got. How many heartbeats you have left? How many heartbeats do I have? Nobody knows. So take every heartbeat as a very big deal, a gift from God, and go for it. And I came across this quote, and I want to say that it said something like, your thoughts becomes your words becomes your action becomes your character, and your character becomes your destiny. So don't ever let anyone tell you, like my uncle, my mom's uncle said that this guy will amount to nothing. Don't ever let somebody tell you that you can't, because if you do that, you may be the last one to know the potential changes that will impact your life. So control your destiny. Don't let anyone else tell you or control your destiny. Thank you for all of you, and I wish you all the best and good luck.
Hey, I want to hear that. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
This is for Royal Ratnavel. Thank you so much, and everyone, be blessed and have a safe life.